Have you ever wondered if your gifts were just too subtle to matter? Maybe you're not the loudest voice in the room, and maybe your leadership doesn't look like charging forward or commanding attention. Maybe your power shows up in quieter ways, through your sensitivity, through your deep presence, or even through the energy that you hold for others. And because of that, maybe you've asked yourself, am I doing enough? Do people even notice me? Does this way of leading actually count? I know these questions really well because I used to ask them too. So that is why today, in today's video on HSP TV, I want to dive into when your gifts are really subtle and how they show up in life. I'm your host, Barbara, and if you like this channel, then I would love it if you could subscribe to it. Maybe hit the notification bell so that you will never miss another video again. And if you think that this content is valuable, it would mean the world to me if you would share it with other people. So for years, I thought that leadership had to mean being outspoken, being polished, and being visibly confident. I thought impact was measured by how much space you could take up and how boldly you could show yourself. And because that wasn't how I naturally showed up, I kept questioning myself. Does this sound familiar? Let me know in the comments. I kept thinking, maybe I'm just too quiet, or maybe I'm too sensitive. Maybe I just don't have what it takes. I remember moments sitting in groups where everyone else was speaking with such certainty. Big ideas, quick answers, strong voices. And I just sat there, silent, thinking, what's the point of me saying anything? But then, when I finally did speak, people stopped. They listened. They even leaned in. Not because I was the loudest, but because I had waited until I had something to say that felt true. And that was the moment that I realized my quiet wasn't a weakness, it was a discernment. And I've seen this same theme play out again and again with my clients. One client came to me convinced that her sensitivity made her fragile. She said, I need to toughen up, otherwise, no one is going to take me seriously. But what she didn't see was that her sensitivity was exactly why her team trusted her so much. She was the one who could feel the emotional undercurrents in the room. She noticed what others were missing, and she responded with kindness, with compassion. And that wasn't fragility, that was leadership through attunement. Another client of mine hated that she was quiet in meetings. She thought, I never speak fast enough. I must not be adding value. But the truth was, when she did speak, people listened. Her silence wasn't being absent from the meeting, it was being discerning about when to speak and what to speak about. And that gave her words a weight that other people's constant talking over just never had. And then there was another client who had spent years apologizing for her too much energy. She tried so hard to tone herself down, to be lesser than herself, and to take up less space. But when she finally stopped apologizing and allowed her energy to be what it was, everything shifted. Suddenly, her presence gave other people permission to expand. And what she thought was too much was actually medicine that people needed. So, what I've learned through my own life and through these clients is that our culture has given us a very narrow definition of leadership. It glorifies the loud, the charismatic, the ones that are constantly visible. And if that's not who you are, it is easy to believe that you are not enough. But here's the truth. Some of the most powerful leaders I've ever known weren't loud at all. They were the ones who listened more than they spoke. They were the ones whose calm presence steadied the room when everyone else was spiraling. They were the ones whose energy shifted things, not because they pushed, but simply because of who they were. Impact doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it steadies. And sometimes it simply is. Quiet doesn't mean invisible. Sensitivity doesn't mean weak. And energy doesn't mean too much. These gifts don't need to be hidden. They also don't need to be fixed. All they need is to be trusted. So if you've ever doubted yourself because you're not the loudest voice in the room, then this is your reminder. Your leadership already exists. It just works differently. But different doesn't mean less, and different often means deeper. So, if you are looking for a community of like minded people to share, to find support, to learn with and from, and to grow with in a safe environment and setting where you might also get some support, coaching, or feedback from me, then you might want to join my solutions community. There are different ways of joining. There's the HSP Cafe, where you can learn, get to meet all other highly sensitive people, empaths, black sheep, rebels, trailblazers, to talk about what's going on in your life and to maybe even make friends. You can also join the Solutions for Life and Business if you want to learn how to take your natural gifts and discover what they are, and then take those natural gifts to build a business around that supports your soul. And there's also the BU by Design Mastermind. This is for people who are sick and tired of feeling sick and tired and are ready to go to the next level and who want to intimately get to know themselves, all of the ins and outs of their user manual, and then use that to create, consciously create the life of their dreams. But if you're not ready for that, or if you're just not a group person, I get it. Maybe you want to just discover your unique design, or you want to understand yourself, your path, your purpose in depth, while also healing your heart and tapping into your prosperity. Then you might want to request my handcrafted BU by Design blueprint, where I combine human design with the gene keys to give you all of the answers to all of the questions you've ever had about yourself. Trust me, that is what happened for me. And these were the things that really turned the tide for me. So I'm very excited about this blueprint. And if you don't know what you want or need, or if you might want to work one on one with me, then I'd like to invite you to book a free clarity call. The links for all of the things I just mentioned are included in the show notes below this video. And if you have any questions, then also feel free to reach out or leave me a comment. I would love to hear your story. So if you would like to share it, also leave a comment below this video. And I want you to know that your gifts do not have to be loud to matter, because they already do. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you next week in another video. Have an amazing rest of your day.